Hi everyone. Tomorrow I'll be making crispy fried meatloaf, but I have to get started on it today. What all goes into the crispy fried meatloaf? 2 pounds ground beef. This is 1 pound, so I have 2 of these. 1.5 cups fresh breadcrumbs. I'll leave the link below to my video where I show you how I make it. 2 eggs, 1/2 cup water, 2/3 cup ketchup divided, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1/2 teaspoon pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. Now that's for the meatloaf. So we have to make the meatloaf tonight, and then we'll put it in the refrigerator and let it chill and get set up really well so we can cut it into slices and then put a coating on it and then fry it. So that's the explanation for that. So for the coating we need 1/2 cup flour, 2 eggs, 1.5 cups panko breadcrumbs, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon pepper, and 1 cup vegetable oil. So let's begin. Preheat the oven to 350. Now the recipe calls for a 9x13 pan, and you're supposed to shape your own loaf. I'm going to be using this pan that has the lift out so all the grease can go in there. I think that will help. The less grease, the easier it'll set up, and it'll be easier to cut tomorrow. I'm hoping it'll all fit in there. We'll see. So we'll spray this pan. And what I'm going to do this time, I haven't done this before, and it does end up sticking on the sides. I'm going to spray the sides here, and then set that in there, and spray the bottom, and then spray these little sides as well, and set that aside. So take a large bowl, dump in your 2 pounds of ground beef, the 1.5 cups of fresh breadcrumbs. Mine was a little bit short of the 1.5 cups. My recipe that I had just made about a cup. It was a small batch. So if you're going to use these for that, I would actually double the recipe. Add the 2 eggs. The 1/2 cup of water, 1/3 cup of the ketchup, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and 1/2 teaspoon of the garlic powder. Then mix that well, and I'm going to start off with a wooden utensil, and then I will get in there with my hands probably. I like to have it a little bit mixed before I get in there and really mix it up. And this can be done with a spoon if you don't like the feel of it or wear gloves. My hands are clean, and I don't mind getting my hands all yucky. I've never made my own breadcrumbs before, so that was kind of interesting. I mean, if you have fresh breadcrumbs from the store, you can use those, but I didn't have any. I had bread, but not any breadcrumbs. So let me wash my hands and I'll be right back. So take your prepared pan, which in their recipe it says a 9x13 pan. I'm going to be using a 9x5 loaf pan, and then just stick that in there and spread that out. This is kind of hard to spread out with this because this thing bounces up and down, if you can see. And get it fairly level and even. Another thing that I'm not fond of is ketchup on the top of my meatloaf. Back when I was growing up, that was the only way they had meatloaf, was ketchup on the top, and I was never fond of that. I didn't like meatloaf for many years until I started finding different ways to make it. So take the rest of your ketchup and spread it on the top. I would have never been able to make it into a nice looking meatloaf shape if I used a pan, so I am going to do it this way. It may take longer to cook. I don't know. It's pretty full and pretty dense. So put your meatloaf in a preheated 350-degree oven. With these, you have to be careful when you take them out because the handles will not stay in with the pan. And cook that for 60 to 70 minutes until no longer pink in the center. After 70 minutes, the meatloaf came out of the oven. It has pulled away from the sides. It is very crusty on the edges. The juices are running clear. Let it cool in the pan for a while, and then we'll put it in the refrigerator so it can set up. It has to stay in the refrigerator for a minimum of 2 hours. Dave's not going to be home until tomorrow, so I'm going to let this sit in the refrigerator overnight, and then I will finish fixing it tomorrow night before he gets home for supper. All right, so it's the next day. Dave will be coming home in about 45 minutes. I took my meatloaf out of the refrigerator. I'll be cutting them into thin pieces, and then we'll continue on with that. And I'll continue cutting them. So it is all cut in pieces. We'll set that aside. So I have 3 shallow dishes here. In my first one, I'll put my 1/2 cup of flour, and I may get more if I need it. In the second one, I put 2 eggs, and we want to beat them lightly. I'll just use my little fisky. And in the third one, I'll put my 1.5 cups of panko breadcrumbs, and I did way too much on that. I wasn't paying attention, but I'll set that aside because I'm probably going to need more of that. And then my salt and pepper, which was 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and then just mix that up. Next, get a large skillet. Then dump in your 1 cup of oil and heat that until it's hot. So we will take a slice of meatloaf and we'll dredge it in the flour. Just make sure that it is all covered. And then put it in the egg. And then put it in the panko. And then put it in the oil. And I'll put in 2 or 3 of them, and then we'll turn it over after 2 minutes and cook it another 2 minutes. All right, so we want to flip it over. All right, so this one is done, as you can see, and we'll put it over here on a paper towel lined platter and let it drain. Now I'll finish the rest of these, and then I'll show you when I'm done. All right, so they're all fried. Some of them did break into pieces, but I went ahead and fried them anyway. I'll go ahead and get it dished up, and then we'll see what he thinks. So here is the fried meatloaf, and rounding out the meal is buffalo macaroni and cheese. Let's see what Dave thinks.
So what am I tasting?
You are tasting fried meatloaf.
Fried meatloaf, okay. If you're new here, I just drove in from Montana. I've been here long enough to change shirts, so I don't ever most of the time don't know what I'm having, so I have to ask what I'm supposed to taste test. Fried meatloaf. Okay.
You're from the South. You like fried anything.
I usually like fried anything, and this isn't an exception. I like it.
Recipe deals for easy meals. Please like, subscribe, and share. This is Cooking with Sherry. Until we meet again.